Missouri.
Now at 5, fire sweeps through a historic Joplin apartment complex.
Continue in Ukraine. I'm Elise Preston with how Russia's war may soon reshape NATO and expand the alliance in the region.
And a march helps focus on the struggles of our nation's nurses.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A Joplin apartment complex built nearly 100 years ago goes up in flames. This is KOAM News at 5. The fire was reported shortly after 1 this morning at Joplin's historic Cleveland Apartments complex at 1st and Jackson. The fire spread among 3 vacant 2-story buildings that are partially connected. Authorities said the apartments were being remodeled and did not have any tenants. The Cleveland apartments are part of the historic Murfreesburg neighborhood. The Joplin Fire Department called for mutual aid from Orinogo, Reddings Mill, Carterville, Tri-Cities, Carthage, Webb City, Dunweg, and the Carl Junction Fire Departments. A standoff in Webb City eventually ended with the arrest of 2 burglary suspects, and in the meantime prompted a change in the pickup schedule for students at the nearby Webb City Junior High School. Around 7:30 this morning, officers were called to the 1600 block of South Orinogo in Webb City about a burglary in progress. While searching, they found the suspects in a home on the 900 block of West 1st Street and told them to come out. They did not. The Jasper County Special Response Team was called in, and authorities used chemical munitions to force the suspects out of the home. A happy ending in the search for a missing 12-year-old girl in Newton County, Missouri. Law enforcement had participated in the search last night for Italy Savage, a suspected runaway. They were especially concerned because the family says the girl has health issues that could be aggravated by the heat. Numerous law enforcement agencies, search groups, and even a bloodhound participated in the search. The girl's mother found her walking along I-49 around 1 this morning. Some Joplin High School students are joining the nationwide calls for federal protections for abortion rights. Students at the school organized a walkout at noon today that was approved by the administration. Calls for federal legislation have grown more urgent following last week's release of a leaked Supreme Court draft opinion. It signals the court may be poised to overturn Roe v. Wade after almost half a century. Yesterday, Senate Democrats failed in their efforts to advance a bill aimed at guaranteeing abortion nationwide. Missouri is one of several states that are set to restrict or completely end access to abortion if Roe v. Wade is struck down. Southeast Kansas residents just got a bit more connected. Thrive Allen County has opened the Allen Community College Trail. The new trail ties into the greater Allen County Trail System, which is now made up of more than 60 miles of trail for Southeast Kansas residents to bike, walk, or run. The newest addition at Allen Community College will provide a way for students to de-stress or exercise.
Our students that don't have cars, and believe me, there are still some that don't, make really good use of them, not just for recreation, but to go to Walmart and go downtown shopping. But it's just it's fun to do things for our community and open up our college and get people out here. And this trail certainly will have folks out here, and I'll meet them on here, I guarantee you.
We're going to hear more about these trails and what's available to the public tonight at 6. This would be a kind of hot day to hit the trails. Doug Heddy.
Yeah, very hot, very humid day once again for us today as temperatures, mic is off, temperatures did go right around 90 degrees for an afternoon high. Pretty much clear skies for us as we went through the daytime hours. Thunderstorms out to our north and to our west. Some of these are going to get in here later on tonight, especially on the Kansas and the Oklahoma side. So we're going to have to keep our eyes on that as those start to work in. But look at our temps, 90, 92, 93 degrees. The humidity is up there as well. Through the evening hours, we drop back through the 80s into the 70s. Of course, we'll talk about thunderstorms here in a bit.
With the mic this time. Thanks. In the southern Ukrainian city of Mariupol, soldiers trapped in this steel mill grow more desperate, while Finland, which shares a border with Russia, announced it would apply to join NATO. Elise Preston has the latest from the United Nations in New York.
Ukrainian officials say this footage shows the remnants of 2 schools destroyed by Russian shelling in the northern city of Chernihiv Thursday, killing 3 people. In Mariupol, time is running out for the Ukrainian soldiers living under relentless Russian bombing. The fighters are close to starving, many with amputated limbs.
Russia continues to inflict suffering and devastation on Ukraine and its people.
On Capitol Hill, State Department officials testified about U.S. efforts to support Ukraine, while Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell urged the Senate to pass the Ukrainian aid package.
Ukraine is not asking anybody else to do their fighting for them. They ask only for the resources they need to defend themselves against this lawless aggression.
In a dramatic policy shift, Finland announced it will move rapidly to join NATO, and Sweden is expected to follow suit. The historic expansion of the Western alliance would be an affront to Russia. Finland shares a border with Russia. In response, the Kremlin said it will be forced to take retaliatory steps. The warning comes as the number of refugees who have fled Ukraine since the start of the invasion has grown to more than 6 million. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
The UN Refugee Agency says this is Europe's worst refugee crisis since the end of World War II. Still ahead, the U.S. marks a somber milestone in the COVID-19 pandemic, and a march highlights the struggles of our nation's nurses. Those stories just ahead in Health Watch. Topping today's Health Watch, the White House flag flies at half-staff as our nation marks a once inconceivable milestone: 1 million deaths from COVID-19 in the U.S. It's been 2 years and 3 months since the first case was identified in the United States. People with long COVID are at a greater risk for blood clotting and difficulty exercising. Research in Blood Advances looked at people who were struggling with basic exercise 3 months after getting COVID and found they also had a 4 times greater risk of abnormal blood clotting. The impact of long COVID is still being studied. It's National Nurses Week, and today hundreds of them marched in Washington, D.C. to make their voices heard. Organizers say the goal is to promote nurse unity and increase awareness on a range of issues, including fair wages and safe nurse-to-patient ratios. Skylar Henry reports from Washington.
Hundreds of nurses from across the United States came to Washington, D.C. to demand change.
We definitely want to be heard, for sure.
Participants are calling for fair wages without salary caps, an end to violence and discrimination against health workers, and safe nurse-to-patient ratio staffing.
As hospitals get pinched more and more, I feel like more care tasks get pushed onto nurses because we're just the ones at the bedside. The more workload you put on that, the fewer time we can devote to the things that really help keep patients safe.
The march comes the same day the White House is marking 1 million U.S. deaths from COVID-19.
We need change!
Nurses at Thursday's march say the pandemic accelerated an already growing nursing shortage in the U.S.
During that time, we lost, I think, probably 75% of our nurses. We would come home crying every night. It was terrible.
Maryland labor and delivery nurse Aviva joined the profession during the pandemic. She says conditions are getting better at her hospital now that there are fewer COVID patients. But other nurses at the event have this piece of advice for new nursing graduates.
Buckle up, it's going to be a rough few years.
The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics predicts the registered nurse field will grow 9% by 2030. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Washington.
In a survey from the American Association of Critical Care Nurses, 66% of respondents said their experiences during the pandemic have caused them to consider leaving nursing. Using antidepressants while pregnant does not raise the risk of epilepsy or seizures in babies. A study in neurology looked at 1.7 million children in Sweden over a 17-year period, and it showed first trimester antidepressant use did not raise rates of epilepsy. The study's authors say the findings should reassure mothers who are struggling with depression. Exercise goes a long way toward helping elderly people with mobility problems. A trial published by the British Medical Journal found strength and flexibility exercises, or even just walking, reduced mobility disability by 22% when coupled with nutrition coaching. The findings show structured physical activity for people over 70 can be tremendously beneficial. Elderly people with mobility problems face higher healthcare costs, poorer quality of life, and higher death rates. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, a possible option for parents struggling to find baby formula.
Plus, the heat sticks around, but also thunderstorms back in the forecast. We're going to look at that coming up. Well, it definitely turned out to be a hot, humid day again for us today. High temps kind of in that 90 to 95 degree range, which is way above where we should be for this time of the year. And in general, it stays warm as we go through the next several days, but we are going to back it down just a little bit as we work into the weekend and also next week. Nice shot, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, 90 Fort Scott, 93 in Miami, 93 in Anderson. We have Neodesha sitting at 91, 90 in Nevada, so everybody's up there. Pretty much clear skies. 7th and Rangeline sitting at 90. South wind 17, some gust over 20. Humidity is quite a bit lower today, so we're not seeing those high heat indices. It's just kind of hot. Temperatures are going to drop back through the 80s, 70s, eventually near 70 for an overnight low for us tonight. Not too much going on here, but we are going to start to see some changes as we work through the next couple days. Pretty big thunderstorms up across the Dakotas, Minnesota, down through parts of Nebraska, and you can see thunderstorms getting going central parts of Kansas, and eventually some of those guys will start to work into our region late tonight into the morning hours for us tomorrow as this storm system is kind of yanking out across the northern parts of the plains over about the next 24 to 36 hours. All right, let's go through time. Clouds increase for us tonight. Late tonight, here's 2:30 in the morning. Scattered thunderstorms into our western counties. Yates Center, Iola, Chanute, Fredonia, Neodesha, Independence. These are going to be hit and miss into the morning. Here 6:30 in the morning. Most likely these will not be severe, but a few of those could be a little bit stronger late tonight into tomorrow morning. These kind of start to dissipate as we go through the morning hours, but we're going to have a lot of clouds kind of sticking around, some mostly cloudy skies through a good chunk of the day. This will keep our temperatures down just a bit. And then once we get after about 3 or 4 o'clock, we're going to have very hit and miss storms. Some of you will stay perfectly dry. Others of you will get 1 or 2 inches of rain. Just depends where these storms pop up. Temperatures should go into at least the mid-80s for afternoon highs. These hit and miss scattered storms stick around tomorrow evening and then work out of here mainly after 8 or 9 p.m. I think they'll flare up again late tomorrow night into Saturday morning. So we're going to have to watch these. Saturday looks pretty good. I think Saturday is going to be fine. We'll warm into the mid-80s, and then another complex will try to drop in Saturday night into Sunday morning. So we do have a severe threat tomorrow, actually even a low severe threat Saturday night, and then again on Sunday. Overall, tomorrow I'm going to keep all the threats low, but something we want to watch. 2 p.m. till about 11 p.m., tornado, hail, wind, rain. We'll keep all the threats low, but again, something we want to pay attention to as we get into tomorrow. All righty, 85 tomorrow, 85 Saturday, 82 on Sunday, more thunderstorms. Some of those could be strong to severe. Monday looks good. Thunderstorms back in it. Pretty good severe threat on Tuesday into Wednesday as well. So mid-May, it doesn't take much to get severe thunderstorms, and we are going to find that out over the next several days.
Yeah, it's typical, unfortunately. Thanks, Doug. Here's a look at our tower camera, sponsored by R.E. Smith Construction, as work continues on the KOAM More Power Project. Tower crews are installing a temporary antenna today on KOAM's 1,000-foot tower. The FCC approved KOAM TV and Fox 14 to increase the station's transmitter power and antenna strength. There are several elements to this project which could take until the end of June to complete. Part of the project is to take down the shorter 500-foot tower. You can check out the progress anytime on our website, koamnewsnow.com/power. Coming up, the effort to meet the demand for baby formula. First, though, we honor a local veteran of the U.S. Army. Rich Hill, Missouri native James Stewart served from 1963 to 1972. He was part of an artillery unit stationed in Germany. Staff Sergeant James Stewart, a four-state hero. Topping today's Consumer Watch, the Senate today confirmed Jerome Powell for a second four-year term as Federal Reserve Chair, giving bipartisan backing to Powell's high-stakes efforts to curb the highest inflation in 4 decades. The 80-19 vote reflected broad support in Congress for the Fed's drive to combat surging prices. through a series of sharp interest rate hikes. It could extend well into next year. The Fed's goal is to slow borrowing and spending enough to ease the inflation pressures. Congress plans to address the national baby formula shortage in a hearing later this month, but for parents, well, the problem is much more urgent. Store shelves all across our nation are empty or running low. Reporter Anna Werner has been talking to some frustrated parents.
She's a fighter. She is a warrior.
5-month-old Mackenzie Janer was born 3 months early, spending more than 100 days in the NICU, and now needs formula designed for premature babies. But parents Emily and Max say it's been a struggle to find. Each morning, Max says he drives to at least 5 grocery stores in 3 separate counties searching.
And you turn the corner into the baby food and formula aisle, and it's just absolutely barren.
Supply chain issues and a major recall have meant empty shelves and shortages across major manufacturers. But one baby formula manufacturer that is not experiencing a shortage is this one, Pennsylvania-based ByHeart. Their product launched in March. The company says the baby formula is made with clean ingredients and based on the latest nutrition research.
We worked with the world's experts in breast milk research to get closer than ever before to breast milk.
They started their company 5 years ago, but couldn't know that their product would land in the middle of a nationwide shortage. Now their online-only sales are booming.
I'll tell you, in just the first 6 days, we sold into all 50 states. That was really shocking to us.
Are you guys able to keep up with the demand?
At this point, we are in good shape.
He says in large part because they control their own supply chain and don't outsource production. Manufacturer Abbott, whose supply has been impacted by its recall of multiple baby formulas and a shutdown of its Michigan plant, says it's working to increase its supplies at other facilities.
Given the shortage, the FDA is now allowing limited distribution of unaffected formulas from Abbott's Michigan plant. Gerber and Enfamil's parent company Reckitt did not respond to our request for comment. The CDC says to speak with your child's doctor or nurse before switching your baby's formula brand or type, and the FDA warns against making homemade infant formula because it could lead to serious health problems for your baby. Anna Werner, CBS News, New York.
Oil giant Saudi Aramco is now the world's most valuable firm, overtaking Apple. Aramco is valued at about $2.4 trillion, slightly more than the iPhone maker. The switch comes as energy stocks have soared in recent weeks, while tech stocks have led the sell-off. Airline passengers in Europe may be able to ditch their face masks come Monday. 2 European Union agencies are no longer recommending passengers mask up. Individual airlines and countries can still choose to mandate face coverings. France announced this week it'll lift its mask requirements for all public transportation. A final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, after a woman suffered a medical emergency behind the wheel, the incredible act of heroism for strangers who saved the day. Then on KOAM News at 6, how a partnership between the federal government and internet service providers could improve broadband access for rural Kansans. Plus, groundbreaking for an addition to Joplin's Turnaround Ranch. And sports gambling is legalized in part of the 4 states. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. It's hot. It's been dry. There's a chance some of us at least might get a bit of rain in the next couple of days.
Yeah, we're going to get hit and miss storms rolling in late tonight into tomorrow morning, and then stronger storms pop up late tomorrow afternoon into the evening hours. Again, these are going to be hit and miss, but the areas they hit, that could be strong to severe. So we need to keep our eyes on that. Thunderstorms again Saturday night. I think Saturday is fine, but Saturday night and then into Sunday, another severe threat. Tuesday and Wednesday, another severe threat. So just that time of the year. Temperatures, at least we back down a little bit, get into the lower 80s.
Severe threats. You and the weather department are earning your keep. Thanks for joining us. CBS Evening News is next. And of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. We'll see you then. Let's make it a great evening.